Hello, I'm the Grandmaster of Alonso, and in this video we're gonna check briefly some of the best games I've ever had, really, with my Chessable course. First, I need to explain that a couple years ago when I started working on my Chessable course, I thought, okay, since I'm gonna be a bit more proactive in play, I thought I had to do some kind of a serious repertoire for myself. So the idea was that the repertoire I upload to Chessable was also available for me, and I played through a whole year. I almost won the European Rapid Blitz Championship with it. I got some very good results in the online tournaments, and also I reached recently my peak again. So I feel it gave me a lot of sense of how to explain chess, and also the way I was analyzing the openings and now needing to explain it, to put some words into it. It made it so much easier to remember everything. So I barely need to review all my repertoire, because since I explain it and everything makes sense to me, like if it doesn't make sense or if it's something too complicated, I would try to rewrite it or rethink about it, or maybe look for another variation or something. So that's why I feel it was kind of a success. And here, okay, with not much further ado, I want to show you some games that you might enjoy, I hope. And I played against the strong grandmasters, and you'll see in a moment. So first we have against José Eduardo Martínez Alcántara. Most of you know him of his insane level of online play. So yeah, I mean, we played this in the rapid format of the Chessable Masters. So basically it was Bogo Indian, play knight d2, which I feel is a bit more proactive and makes sense. We get the bishop pair and we get some more ambition, let's say, or more creative positions. So a3, bishop e7. This is kind of a normal way to play for black, because this knight on d2 is kind of weird. We would love to have it here, so we are expanding through the center, but with this knight kind of bothering us. And now d6, and again, our main goal should be to reroute this knight, but we have some problems. So bishop e2, bishop d3 has some problems with d5. Like, it's not that easy. It's a very precise move order. Everything is theory. We play b4 because sometimes black here, let's say, c5 is also a move. And since we did not castle yet, we have b5 and then we castle long and we attack. And this is a very nice way. We have a game from Miguel Santos, which is such a good example of how this can be very difficult for black. And AB, take, c5. And here, one of the things I had in my course that I really like is that I will give you the main line on the critical approach, but then I'll try also to give you positions that can have some kind of freedom, yeah, like you can play. Here I give b5, and then queen a7, and then some precise moves like castle, and then the rook moves, and then this knight wants to reroute here, so it can defend f5 and cover much better the center, because now on d2 is a bit awkward. And the thing is, I wasn't that sure it was really practical for a rapid game, and I thought, okay, why not play this d6? Eh? A lot of times I've been practicing my repertoire and suddenly thinking, okay, why not this? Looks good, looks practical. So hey, I take the pawn, he take with the pawn. I castled, he played rook e8, and here I just played by, I don't know, by just common sense. You put the rook here, and I want to play c5, so I get the square for the knight and the bishop. And also I get pressure here, and my pieces play. Most of my games are focused on, okay, just play easy for my pieces, yeah? He played queen c7, c5. Here I even realized that after take, bishop f6 should be some kind of fine for black. Because, okay, I can exchange 4 pieces, but, okay, I thought, okay, it's interesting for a rapid, yeah? It has a different flavor when you play rapid or you play classical. When you play classical, you try to play more precise, but here you want to have playable positions, because mistakes happen much more often. And therefore there's no need for such precision. It's more important to be practical, yeah? So here he played bishop f8, which is kind of a blunder already. So basically I barely played any move out of my repertoire. I just played, okay, maybe this dc6, and then just trying to put my pieces on the best squares. And here I felt that this was a bit risky, because I have these two pieces very aligned, and I'll leave you thinking, what would you play here? Okay, hope you're back. And now knight f7 was the move. And here it wasn't really that my goal was to crush him already, but the point is that his pieces are so awkward on the queen side that basically until he gets to them to play, you are a piece up or a couple pieces up. So I play check, and here what I just calculate is that, okay, if I take, I can just take on g7, and the king is very unsafe. I already gained a couple pawns, my queen is entering in the king side. So I thought, okay, I should be fine. I cannot calculate everything, yeah? Like, this position should be very good. I mean, he has so much room for mistakes. There is no obvious play for my opponent, so I thought, okay, this should be good. And after king g6, here I thought knight f3, and the main issue for black is that, okay, I thought what would be black most, let's say, preferred plan would be something like h6 and just bring safety to the king. But here after h6, I could do more or less the same I did during the game, which is queen a2, and if the king goes away, bishop g8 and knight h4, and suddenly the mate is, well, not unavoidable, but basically black will suffer so much casualties. I feel, I mean, maybe it's even unavoidable, and at the end it's mate anyway. So my point was like, okay, he cannot get back, so it should be bad that the king is here, and my e5 is coming, my queen is coming, so okay, simply plays queen f4. And here queen a2, a move I really like as well, because again we kind of want to prevent black from getting active to activate his pieces. So this knight needs to move, so basically I just focus on that, and each and every move has some issues like bishop f7, and now you lose the queen, and if knight e5, I can have the same approach like bishop e5. And here again I could already just gain material. Like this position, for instance, would be already very painful to hold for black. Just maybe just rook d8, or I don't know. I can already play, so it's very safe. Like it's like I don't have material minus material already. So I wasn't really worried. And knight b6 happens more or less the same, because he cannot take due to knight h4, and the queen is hanging. So after rook e4. Here, bishop f7 is not possible anymore, but here I can just play bishop d3, and again, all my pieces are just playing. The rook, well, will come soon, and these pieces are non-existent. So basically I have a lot of material up. Knight f6, knight d5. Now it's kind of forced. Black needs to go here, and here would be maybe the first be careful moment, like if I get too quickly to the victory, maybe take and rook e5, and okay. The engine gives this as a completely winning, but it's 3 pieces for the queen, and some precision might be required. So here I thought, okay, just take the material, and after queen f7, and after queen e4, queen f7 and bishop c1, there's no way to prevent it, and also I threaten the bishop. So this is far more practical and more creative. And king g5, I take, queen c2, just take, just rook e1, and I mean the position is a matter of time. Yeah, he prevents with h5, knight f3. And knight bd7, and he lets me just do some creative mate with knight h4 and g3, which is a funny last position. So again, I just play my repertoire, play a couple just logical, put the pieces well move, and suddenly I have such a harmony in my position that just works. Yeah? So the next game will be against Jonathan Dorassou in the French league. This is a classical game. So here, one of the points I like about my course is that, okay, since it's a lifetime repertoire, I like to give a lot of alternatives. So here queen c2 is not the main line, but it's just playable. It's just, we defend the pawn, we prevent all this huge amount of variations, which is after queen c2, c6, s6, b5, c5, b6. Every move is kind of possible there, so just queen c2. He plays a very weird move, and I play a bit by logic, like, I don't know, a3 feels normal, because I prevent knight b4, take, and sometimes knight b4 goes along with b5, so yeah, might as well just prevent it. Queen d5, here I play knight d2. The thing is, this is kind of similar to a variation where this pawn is on a2, but I more or less felt natural to play knight d2. Maybe queen a4 was a bit more precise, but okay, doesn't matter that much. Rook d8, e3, and here, as well as, well, while I'm explaining these games, I want to make notice of some important things I think chess relies on too. Here I saw that e5 was playable. Like, okay, it looks ugly, it looks dangerous, but let's say e5 looks dangerous because the rook is a bit exposed, but after take the rook, knight d3 is such a nice intermediate move, and black will be up 2 pieces per rook. So, and in the end, we don't have that much activity of the rooks, so it doesn't pay off the exchange. But okay, it's not that easy. It's kind of scary. So again, don't make your opponent play the easy moves, force him to at least play some creative moves and to be, I don't know, to just prove something. Yeah. So yeah, he played queen h5. I play h3 in order to prevent e5. I can have g4, bishop d6. Here I could have played e4 already. I cannot explain why I did play queen e2 because it's a thematical move. The knight wants to go to c4. But okay, bishop d7, e4, bishop f8. Already got the very nice center. Queen a5. The queen was about to get stuck here, so he brings it back. And now this queen side is a bit weird because this knight would love to be in c3, covering a bit more. And now I play rook d1. That looks like an innocent move. But here suddenly queen a4 is such a pain. Yeah. Because queen a4 threatens knight d4, so basically I have no time to play b3, something like that, or b4. This pawn could be taken because this rook is in the air. And if I try to just play knight f1, just take out this knight to, I don't know, defend the pawn on d4. Now suddenly knight d4 appears, and this queen is stacking this rook. So suddenly I saw myself like, oh, wait, what's going on? So I thought, okay, might as well, since black is getting a hang of the light squares after e5, which is the only move. And now I play knight e4, so I thought, okay, here if I let black do something, knight a5 and c5 and bishop b5, like black is completely getting all over the queen side, and suddenly this rook will come, and this queen is very annoying here. Yeah. So here I thought I need to do something very quick. Knight e4, he played knight a5, and here, with only 2 minutes in the clock, basically I spent maybe my last 5-6 minutes I had to decide whether or not I would play knight g5. And knight g5, the idea is that, okay, black has so many pieces on the queen side that cannot help this king. So I thought, okay, it shouldn't be bad, it looks good, but couldn't believe myself. I'm not, I didn't play that much of this kind of sacrifices, you will see, but it felt like, okay, it should be something. It should be logical. Like he has no pieces, yeah. So after h6, here knight f7. I already spoiled it here. But after king f7, bishop h6. Another big sacrifice going on. So here, for instance, if he takes the bishop, I just do a check. And here, for instance, if king e7, the position is a bit awkward for black. Like now, I was thinking just knight c5, and now rook c1, and okay, I have a piece down, but the king is cannot go to the king side where he should be safe. And now my rook can come to the third rank, and this queen is very awkward. The knight is very awkward. The knight is pinned. Like basically, black cannot do anything at least logical. Yeah. So I was already happy. Like okay, it feels like my pieces are just coming to the king side, and he cannot move any piece at all. Yeah. So I thought, okay, this should be fine. And after king g7. Here, as well, the most direct path you always need to calculate, knight g5. I threaten queen f7, and here, take bishop e4. I threaten mate, so he needs to move away the bishop, but after check and bishop g6, queen h8 and queen f7 are just two threats black cannot prevent. So, basically I was kind of proud. And here, what I also thought is that, okay, black cannot take as well. They can just stay calm. Like he was playing quite practical game, so I thought, okay, after bishop g5, this king is still kind of weak. These pieces are very weird as well. And I would have some kind of a tempo advantage going on. So here after bishop e8, bishop g5. And if he tries something like rook d7, that looks very sketchy. I have many ways to play. Like for instance, go for queen g4 and threaten this pawn. And this king cannot move. Nothing can move basically. And at the end of the day, it's just a game. Like what do I want to say? Like it's a practical game. It's not that I'm winning immediately, but it's very awkward for black to find resources. After queen g4, maybe bishop h4 could be following, and knight g5 is just coming. I don't know, it just felt very pleasant and felt very difficult. At least I don't see an easy way to play, so I was already fine. Even if I'm a piece down, it doesn't matter that much. I would recommend you to focus on, okay, very, very nice what I'm saying, on my opinion, but what's my opponent's next move? Is it easy? Not? And then just focus on this very small thing. You make a mistake, okay, but what's the next move for my opponent? What he wants to do? Just focus on this. And it's also a very good habit to get back into the game, because sometimes you like, oh, I make a mistake, I make a blunder, you're very upset. So yeah, just go back to the game, and it's a good way to focus. So he played king g8. He thought, okay, I just give the exchange, this rook gets to play. But now b4 is really nice, and suddenly these pieces are so awkward as well, and my knight is coming. With this, if knight goes to c6, the queen cannot come back, so suddenly now knight g5 will be very, very upsetting for black, because I threatened the pawn, and now queen e4 to threaten mate, and then queen h4, and then just losing by force. So he plays knight b3, but the knight here doesn't have much future, and after he tries to play knight d4 and to play knight f4. I mean, his goal was to somewhat have this kind of trick, but here I have many choices. Even this could be good. But here I saw this intermediate check. After taking here, I don't want to take the knight. I would do another intermediate check, and here I'll take with the rook. And suddenly I'm 2 exchanges up, and the king is very weak, but still the position is also lost. But even here I could finish with style, with b5. Basically, the whole theme of the game, that this queen is out of the game, still holds, and now I'm threatening this bishop that is kind of holding everything together. And suddenly, boom, I eliminate the last defender. After knight g5, rook b5, rook b4. And basically, queen d1 check is just a free check, but I'm threatening rook h4 and rook b5, and both cannot be dodged. So after knight g6, rook h5, rook b5, I keep resign, and a rook up. So this was a very flashy game, and it was a kind of unnerving one, because sacrificing 2 pieces with barely 1 minute in the clock. Okay, yeah, I'm very bad with time. I improved. I swear. But yeah, this was a very good example as well of, okay, I'm getting the pieces well, and I need to do something. It feels natural, just kind of focusing on, okay, if I don't do something, my opponent will just crush me through the light square. So it was a very fun game to play. Next we have a game from the European Blitz Championship. Basically, my repertoire also consists of so many alternatives on practical lines that give you some, maybe in classical, they are not so good. It can be complicated to pay off. But in Rapid and Blitz, they are very simple. You have many free moves. And I got to win so many Grandmasters with this line. And bishop b4 check is very popular in the Catalan. The point is that after bishop d2, bishop's e7. White has this bishop that it's a bit awkward, it's a bit the middle of everything, and black kind of just plays safe, and white needs to decide what to do with this bishop. So, but here knight c3, imagine how common it is bishop d2, that I remember recently playing this Chessable online tournament as well, against Pankratov, and he just pre-moved bishop e7. He played this like it was a pre-move, and okay, I got a Catalan with an extra knight c3, and I won with very comfortably. And after castle, the point is that black is winning a pawn, and after a3 now, in this move order, you kind of get the center, but black has this very nice pawn and this very nice square, so black usually wants to defend everything. But okay, the engine sees it pretty clear, has clear advantage, white is much worse, but it's not that easy to play, and there is some kind of fear. For instance, in Blitz, you don't want to play so risky, yeah? You don't have time to afford to just losing it up. So here, for instance, bishop e3, rook b8 is already a mistake, because b5 could be played directly, but okay, if you play b5, this is kind of sketchy, yeah? This is kind of scary, and that's the point of the line, that intuitively it's not so easy to play, like with the engine, of course, yeah? But nowadays with the engine, everything is kind of solved, so it's more important to focus on what's playable or what's not, and what's easy and what's not. So he played rook b8, and I thought, okay, queen c2, just want to bring more pieces to the center. Knight g4, okay, I don't care that much, just bring the rook to the center. He takes, but again, you start to see a pattern, yeah. The king, I have a lot of pieces here, the knight is coming, this knight is coming, the rook is here, and he has some pieces on the queen side, yeah. So again, knight a5, which is very typical to just kind of defend everything. But now e5, I just make rook from the knight. He plays queen e8, maybe in an intent, because he's kind of afraid of d5. That's also very interesting, opening all the files. But again, it's not a huge threat, but it's scary. So it's reasonable that he played queen e8, like it looks normal. But suddenly after knight e4, I'm threatening knight g5, and black don't really want to commit to g6, having so much hold, so because h6. And here I just play knight h4. The knight doesn't go anywhere, but the point is that knight f6 is kind of the point, yeah? And it's the pawn, so we can defend the pawn here. So after bishop d7, I play knight f6 anyway. Here bishop a4 might be a bit better, like taking the rook, but I will regain back a piece, and white is much better, and the king is very unhealthy. Again, these two pieces are very out of the game, so black needs to do something. Needs to hold for a long time until these pieces come back to the king side. So he played bishop d6, but suddenly now queen e2 is very smart, because queen e4 was also an option, but this is a bit better, so the bishop can go here, and the queen wants to go here, and after e5 we just prevent this move. And after here, king h7, it becomes apparent now bishop e4 is very strong, and we are threatening just rook e5 and winning the queen. So he played rook g8, he's completely lost already, and also rook h5 was also mating our opponent, so yeah. So he played rook g8, I take, give, and here even more punishing is queen h5 because I threatened mate, so he needs to defend it. And after bishop f8, bishop b1, and we threatened queen f7 and mate, but also we threatened the knight on a5. That was kind of forgotten, but okay, it will be another piece, and after knight c6, queen f7, he resigned. I also won against Adams with this line. Okay, a bit more sketchy, but the point is that this line is very tricky, and you have all the pieces very well put together, and basically a mistake for black is very costly. That's why I like these lines. And also Carlsen kind of played this especially against the Grufel lately, and he had so many good wins against Mediato, for instance. And yeah, we get the center, black is a pawn up, but okay, you see it's kind of practical positions. And later we have this game against Aryan Tari. This is the FIDE World Rapid and Blitz on Kazakhstan. And here it was another Catalan, and it was one of these modern lines that black plays. What is this idea with bishop d6 and h6? Again, is to annoy this bishop. Basically now bishop f4 is not that available, and bishop g5 is not available at all. So that's why black combines these two moves to prevent it. So here we just play queen c2, and after b6, cd5 is on a structure I have all over the course. Whenever black plays b6 in this structure, taking on d5 is really nice, because this center is not going anywhere really, because after c5, black doesn't want to commit to cd, because we will have a very nice blockade to this pawn, and black won't have this very nice Carlsbad structure that is very well defended, and this c pawn will be kind of isolated all the time, or kind of a problem the whole game. So that's why this structure is kind of repeated everywhere. And after knight c3, he made a mistake already, a6. In this kind of structures, you can play bishop b7, because this black can take with this pawn. And this only works with whenever white cannot get rid of this bishop, because this bishop will eventually hit the pawn structure, because on f4, okay, you can kick it out whenever you want. And after bishop d2, let's say knight c6, okay, of course, you need to play e3 eventually. And this bishop doesn't do anything. Yeah, it's completely closed. This looks funny, but again, but okay, what's your next move? You know? So he played a6, and here knight e5 would be already almost crushing, but okay, I play bishop f4 just by structures. So here the point is that whenever black takes, I take with the g pawn, and knight e5 is very nice. It's very practical. And e3, rook c1, rook d1. I just want to improve the pieces. Yeah, bishop b7, play rook d1, rook e8. I took, and now. Okay, now I have the tempo to play knight e5 and then f4, and again we exchange the dark square bishop, which usually just causes us problems, I'd say. And now after f4, e3, we have all the pawn chain on dark squares, and all the pieces covering light squares, if you see. And this is a very nice concept that you are doing great. Yeah, both of these knights just covering all the light squares, the bishops, and yeah, we have very nice coordination. So now f4, b5, he tries to create some counterplay, but here I'm just coming. Again, he has some pieces that are not paying attention to the queen side. Now b4, knight e2, he tries to get this e4 square, but again, g5, my pieces are coming swiftly, and I have too many on the king side. And now I have this contact point, and now my knight wants to come here, and after f6, took, here knight g4, is objectively better, but this is a blitz game, and this knight g3 felt so nice. Because suddenly he needs to take, but again, just check how my pieces are just flowing through the king, and the king is completely isolated. Here with queen d7, black could sit hold, but he played queen c6, that looks kind of logical, but after queen g2, suddenly I'm threatening knight h5, I'm threatening rook f6, so queen g6 is kind of a must, rook f6, queen g5, and here black is kind of threatening queen e3. But we are not really worried about queen e3, because we will have some kind of discover check after those words. So here I played h4, which is a really nice move, that if he takes, I just take out the king, and suddenly knight f5 is just a huge threat, and black is kind of lost. So he played queen g4, and here he threatens the rook, and it feels like black is gaining some kind of tempi and eventually can just bring the rest of the pieces to defend. But here rook d2 is very nice. And after knight d5, here I have a very geometrically pleasant move that I had prepared prior to this, which is knight h5. The main reason of this working is that if black exchanges the pieces, the mate is coming, yeah, with the rooks. And if black plays knight e3, here I have this weird check, but kind of works, rook h6, and now I just take the queen, and after knight g2, knight f6, rook dg2, this king, again, is completely isolated, these two pieces are not doing anything, and now rook g7, rook h7 is not preventable, and I won the game. And I feel this was also a great example of how just strategy and just structures just pay off. Like, I didn't need to think a single move. Okay, maybe this pawn sacrifice, this piece sacrifice with knight g3 was a bit not optimal. But again, my play was just improving pieces, exchanging pieces, getting squared for the pieces, and it's everything I already know. So it felt very pleasant win, and also against a very strong opponent. And yeah, it shows how the approach to playing faster time controls with this setup, you need to have some kind of practical approach, because otherwise you need to remember everything. Yeah, and nowadays, with the engine being so powerful, it's more interesting to just have some practical stuff in move 3, that just very deep stuff in very critical positions, I would say, in general terms. There are some variations that are required, some pressure and some precision, but okay. This shows how just by playing by, let's say, some strategical concepts, eventually my position just makes sense, that I want to push here, that I want to crack the black's position. So we go to the next game, and this was against Ivan Salgado. He's a very strong theoretician, player, and coach right now from Spain. And basically he played a6, and this was popularized recently, this Janowski variation. And there is a magnificent course with Max Warmerdam that, oh man, it was kind of a nightmare to check about, and I was very happy to find bishop g5. Again, this bishop kind of the Catalan just annoys us. We just want to exchange it and have this pawn chain in dark squares, and then this very nice bishop on light squares. After bishop e7, we take knight e7, and again here our gameplay is very simple, like just wanna put pieces on the nice squares. And here, whenever the complications arise, here, okay, let's think about it. Now cd5 is very nice, and again, if black takes, we are very happy. Again, this pawn structure just rings a bell, yeah? Now we could even take, and these isolated pawns are a bit weird. Here some maneuvers are interesting, even knight b1 to go here, just play e3 to prevent d4, or even just knight b3 and just kind of force black to concede the d4 square. We have many ways to approach it, but this is very uncomfortable for black because these pawns will always be targetable. Yeah? So here black maybe would have this was a bit more precise, taking with the piece, because after e4, bishop c6 or bishop b7, I cannot play knight c4 yet. So black has kind of a nice tempo compared to the game, because here I played knight c4 first, and since I'm threatening knight d6, which is very annoying, and I have both threats yet, so this move order favors me. So now we get e4, e5, because we get this nice square, knight d6, rook b8. And since we were talking a lot about themes in chess, I feel regarding this position, this is maybe one of the most important concepts I kind of got and get in the last years. Is like, you need to have, let's say, to convert advantages. You know, it's not that you cannot play the best move all the time and try to optimize. So here again, I just focus on, okay, what is my opponent's plan? My opponent wants to play bishop a8, just get this bishop here, counter my bishop, and then play rook d8, maybe exchange and put this knight here, and or then some threats with knight e5, because this knight is kind of loose here. So here I thought, okay, why just not take, take here. Okay, it looks weird that this knight is kind of a very nice piece, but again, I just focus on, okay, but what am I going to do with this knight? It looks very nice, but I need to do something with the piece, with the advantage. And here was a very funny position, because after rook e1, the problem for black is that black ideally wants to take, but after knight d4, I have this very nice square for the knight, and I'm threatening to take and have this isolated pawn, and now just push here. And basically here after rook e1, I leave black without a pleasant move. I don't focus that much in, oh god, I have this knight, which is very nice. I just have like, okay, black doesn't have a pleasant move. Rook e1 makes sense, so I can take here again. And here, for instance, it's very funny because after h6, black is already completely lost. I didn't do anything, like nothing too creatively, but this position is already very critical. I did not spot the move because, okay, it's thematical, but wasn't that obvious. The move was knight h4. The point is that I'm threatening bishop d5, and black cannot prevent it, so black will need to take with the e-pawn, and then just f4, f5 looks amazing. And black cannot do anything, like the knight is very awkward, has no jumps, the rook is here is a bit stuck, the queen is in the middle of everything, so basically every push would threaten the queen, and black is lost. But here I just play a3. The point is that black still cannot take. He played rook d8, and now taking is still not a threat, but maybe after knight d4, knight b8 could be played. So here I had fun and played knight d2. The point is that if whatever this knight moves, I can take with the c on c5, and then black will have this isolated pawn, so this is comfortable. And if black now takes, because knight d4 is not possible, now I take, and knight f3, and here, again, it's just a pleasant position. It's not that I'm winning. I thought here that black with precise play might hold, because only one weakness, everything kind of defended. I mean, shouldn't be that bad, but here it's more pleasant for me, yeah, to have this isolated pawn, this really nice blockade, and now I have some squares as well to jump. He played queen d7, b4. Here, again, I want to just bring the knight here, so first I kick this one, so if knight d4, there is a very nice trick, which is e6 first, and now f3, now h4, and now I'm just crushing through knight e6. And suddenly the position for black is very, this rook is very bad, and the king is very exposed, so I mean, or even just rook e6 would be great for white. So basically knight e6 is kind of forced, and knight f5 just gets to d6. I don't know, like I feel black is still very solid, but my position just flows, no? Now queen g4, take, king h8. Again, this is a very critical position, I feel, as well for many of you, because it's like, okay, I'm not mating him, but I don't know how to progress. And here, for instance, knight d6 looks very tempting. It's like, have the knight here, maybe f4, f5 later. But here after f6, that, okay, looks weird. I agree. But how am I playing? Like, he suddenly will play rook f8, and suddenly exchange everything. And suddenly I would lose this kind of nice spot, and black is happy to have this kind of counterplay. Because here we're forcing him to play f6, otherwise, black could be busted very quickly. Yeah? So here instead I play rook d1 because I focus on, okay, what's black's next move? It was d4. Yeah, blacks want to push here, and after d4 I can just take here on d4 because he cannot take because there is mate. So he would be losing a queen. And also if he tries to keep up the exchange, I saw the queen f3, I'm threatening this pawn and also this pawn. So I thought, okay, at least I have 2 pawns, because there is a chance that fortress might happen. This happens a lot on grandmaster level, like black will try to simplify to get some kind of fortress. And he tried to play queen a4 to create some counterplay, but here he's not threatening the rook. Now I can get to d6 comfortably, and king g8. Here I can get the d5 pawn, but black gets some counterplay, so here this d5 pawn doesn't do much for black. But this queen is a bit, again, after the game, you start to see a pattern, yeah? Can you imagine what would happen in a few times? So he played knight g5 and d4. I cannot take because there is this double check, and also because queen a3. But here f4 looked very pleasant. Here again, I did not calculate much. I thought, okay, this f5 and suddenly f6, and the king is very weak. If g6, queen d2 might be already a huge threat. And black isn't under so much pressure already, and our attack is pretty free. If gf6, I thought like rook f1 should be great. This queen doesn't have a way to enter into the game like pressuring. Like, let's say, imagine this queen can play queen c3. Suddenly it's a completely different story, but this queen doesn't really have any move that is threatening me, and now just can take with the rook. I'm threatening knight f7 or ef6, just or knight f5, or the queen is coming. Like, everything looks pleasant for me, and he doesn't have an obvious move again. And after here he played knight b5, and here you'll see a similar topic. Here I play knight f7. It's funny how I already sacrificed 3 or 4 pieces on f7 just for a concept, because here after here rook f1, I thought like, okay, this I'm threatening to play queen h7 and fg. I'm promoting already queen. He doesn't have the best piece in the world. Queen a3 is the only forcing move, and here I considered a couple moves like queen c4, but and after king g6 I can even just try to promote both pawns. But here I calculate the most forcing move, which is a very important concept, which is e6, because black is forced to take. Now queen e4, important, not queen e2, because queen e3. And now king d7 is kind of forced, because here, okay, here I thought for this briefly, but I saw that there was no like continuous check, so here I can choose. Yeah, I could choose to try to run with the king or just pin myself. Yeah, and I thought, okay, this should be fine. But after king d7 check, and here fg just wins by calculation. If queen e3, I just take and rook f8 and promote, and he played queen b3, and here I could take and check and queen, but okay, he has some kind of counterplay, a pass pawn, and here I just calculate briefly and rook f8. The king looks scary, but whenever the king is here, there is no way to check, because the only way for black would be to play queen e2, because here queen h5 is needed. But okay, after queen e2 we just take the queen. So again, this was a very straightforward game that we just kind of converted advantages to just have playable positions, practical approach. And whenever it's needed, and whenever it feels like something should be going on, we do the sacrifice, and it works very well. Yeah, this was a rapid game on the Aim Chess play-in tournament, where only grandmasters play. So it was a very nice game. I mean, in his defense, he was just traveling from France, but okay, I couldn't pass the option, the occasion to just show this very nice game. And finally, we'll end up with another game against a Spanish guy, which is Jose Carlos Ibarra. Please make sure to follow him if you're a Spanish speaker on YouTube, and he's very active on also in his streaming career. So. And he always plays kind of the same repertoire, so it's a really nice way to kind of perfections if you play this kind of stuff. So here he plays this bishop f5 that it's very tricky. It kind of deviates from the usual stuff when white just gets a space and black tries to counterplay. And here black wants to exchange this knight and then play some, let's say, safe position, maybe then go for c5 or c6 d5. Maybe the point of black is that wants to exchange a couple pieces, so basically the reduced space just doesn't go against black. So here castle, knight c3, and here my idea in the course is knight h4, and now this is kind of forced because now I'm threatening bishop b7, and now here the point is f4. Again, this is a similar concept, like we have so many pieces in the king side, and now f5, it's just annoying to play against, and black is kind of has everything on the queen side yet, so we start the attack already. So here e4, we want to play f5, c5, bishop e3, queen a5. Here this cannot be allowed, but the queen in a2, I mean, this doesn't look like trustworthy. You see a pattern, yeah, you start to see a pattern. The black only has two pieces and we have everything. So now f5 should be the move. I give up another pawn, and here I'm so sad, man. I'm so sad because my first instinct was to play fg, rook f8, and if king f8 or bishop e8, just take here. And now queen g4. And this position is very similar to what we've been seeing through these games, because now I take on g6 and rook f1, and I have all the four pieces attacking the king, and black is still very far away from activating his pieces. And now bishop h6 is coming, e5 to maybe unlock this bishop as well, and basically this was completely winning, but I don't know, just wasn't my day because I was intuitively. But f6, the problem is that looks very nice as well. Bishop h8, here I should have played e5, I guess, and now maybe e5, and now just bring the bishop, or maybe bring the rook to f4, and I have very much stronger pawns. But here I thought, okay, if I play rook f2, I put the bishop here, the queen here, and rook f1, how does he exactly stop me? Yeah, it was a bit over ambitious, I'd say, but it kind of worked, so I'm not gonna complain. So here queen d2, he tried to create counterplay, but here a4 was a bit too much. Maybe take here was needed, and queen b4, and suddenly knight c6, and suddenly there is some annoyances with queen d4, and suddenly the queen on d4 just prevents, like goes nicely here. It was still very complicated, but some reaction was needed. And after a4, bishop g7, I just want to play queen h6, take and mate. So black needs to take, queen e8, queen h6, knight d7. And here I have everything. I have all the pieces. And here I stopped for a minute, and I thought, okay, this should be working. And if I take on f7, there is still a game. There is a bit complicated yet. I have to take, queen h7, rook g8. Okay, this looks nice, but this pawn is very scary. And sometimes black can even just give up the queen, and this promoting. And there was some possibilities of this. Here, I think this is a great example for white, I feel, because I can promote, I can promote with check. But you know the idea, like suddenly, I mean, here I'm checking the worst case scenario. Here knight f6 obviously is much better. But you see how it was scary. But knight g6 look very nice because ag6 is just mate. And if fg6, I thought, okay, black doesn't have a move. Again, I focus a lot when I'm calculating. Black doesn't have a following move. He has all these nice pieces, but doing nothing on the king side. And now after bishop h3, we just want to take on e6 and play rook f8. And there is mate. Let's say any move, no? Like it's a3, I take, and rook f8. And we have so many pieces covering f8 here. And this is just mate. It's not preventable. So this was a very nice sacrifice. I feel like it worked very nicely. And you see the harmony of all my pieces going to the attack. Yeah? And after knight g6, he played a3, and now rook f7 looks very much pleasant. And here, this was the position I was saying that if I promote the queen, suddenly a2, a1, and the queen is coming back, and if there is no mate, so here I calculate kind of a forcing mate, which is very nice with e5. Here I let you calculate if you want. If you want to stop it, I will follow very soon, but if you want to stop it now, because after taking, I promote with the knight. There was a quicker mate technically, but wasn't with a check. So first check if there is, let's say, a fourth way to win. No? And here after rook g8, queen e7, and there's a couple different mates. After king g6, bishop e4, and suddenly this pattern kind of works. Whenever the king goes here, I will play queen h7, and queen h4 will be mate. Yeah? And this was a really nice example of the domination of the diagonals, yeah, and all the coordination of the queen and bishop. And he played knight f5 with king f5, which allowed me to play such a nice mating pattern, which is knight h4. This is kind of forced. Bishop f3, knight e6, and here bishop g2, and the king is completely trapped on the side of the board, and still black pieces are not doing much. So basically, I hope you enjoyed all these games. I mean, it felt like it was a great summary of how it has been this d4 repertoire for me. A lot of ideas well thought, I felt like a lot of practical ideas, a lot of dynamic ideas, and it helped me to just have more energy during the games. I didn't have to review anything, just play d4 and okay, do whatever you want. If you have my course, I don't care, it's very well done. And this kind of freedom as well showed me that the power of just being well prepared and just being confident in your repertoire, and having the alternatives also gave me the confidence to play it even in the highest level. Yeah. But especially since lately the rapid and blitz tournaments are very important, this repertoire also gave me a lot of advantage with white especially. And even the previous one of these aim chess play, I won all the games with white. Only had problems, but okay, I didn't have problems with bad results with black, but I won all the games against 26 plus with white. Two of those were shown here with Salgado and Ibarra. And okay, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you pay notice if you see the Catalan in the in the World Cup. And I also wanted to briefly say that I will do some kind of update in my Catalan course, and another course on Chessable is coming. And yeah, I'm really happy how it turned out. And any comment, any question, feel free to ask. And see you next time.